That,
Let's go.
yep.
When you're ready, Mr.
Ben, we're ready to roll. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
When you're ready, sir.
Okay. All right. I'd like to call to order the North Canton City Council Committee, the whole meeting, August 17th, 2020. The time is 7:01 p.m. Ben, would you call the roll for me?
Member Warren,
Here.
Member Soretta,
Here.
Member Stroya,
Here.
Member Fonte,
Here.
Member Foltz,
Here.
Member Revolt,
Here.
and Member Peters.
Here.
7 present.
All right. Thank you. First up is Finance and Property. Chairwoman Warren, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm going to pass it right to our finance director. And we have a report on audit. And then, Gina, you have another report to give. So this is kind of your show tonight.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Thanks,
we have Mariah Richards is on this call also, and she's from Perry and Associates. She was the city's auditor this year, so she's going to go through our audit report and give a post-audit review to the Finance Committee.
All right, you guys ready?
We're ready.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So, like most things this year, the audit went a bit differently than usual. We did it remotely, and overall, I think it went really well on our end. I hope it was as smooth for you all as it was for us. Has the council received a copy of the audit report and been able to review it?
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
Yes.
So the most important audit letter in the report is the opinion letter. This is on page 1 through 3 of the CAFR portion of the audit report. The city received an unqualified opinion for fiscal year 2019, which this tells the reader that we, the auditors, that we found no material misstatements. This is the best opinion that can be issued for financial statements.
Yay.
Yay. And then the next letter, that's really important and part of the report. It's at the beginning of the actual report. It's a little confusing. There's our report and then there's the CAFR report. The beginning of our report on page 1 and 2, this is our letter issued over internal controls. In this letter is where we would note any deficiencies, material weaknesses, or any non-compliance issues. I'm not sure who all receives bulletins from the auditor's state. I assume those in the area of finance would have. But for fiscal year 2019, there was a new thing that we had to do. From the auditor's state's office, they required us to do more compliance testing over public records and record retention policies. In the past, as auditors, we only really made sure that the government's actually just had some sort of policy. We never went into depth with testing this. So this year we had to make inquiries and we reviewed a few of the record requests and making sure they were, according to the policy, making sure that the city was compliant. And we found no issues in that area. So that was really good. And overall, we didn't find any issues regarding controls, which is the main thing that we're looking at because we need to make sure the controls are in place. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions. There was no issue, so it's pretty short and sweet.
Mariah.
We like
Mariah.
those.
My name's Dominic. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
1 to 10 out of how we shaped up this year as a city. Are we a 1 at the lowest, or 10 at the highest, or 8? Are we at the top of the top?
Oh no, you're definitely you're a 10.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah,
Tina.
that's definitely. Good
She
work,
did really
good
well.
work, team. Yeah, that's great.
This is all creds to Laura and her staff.
That's
this
true.
is the 2019 year. Yes. So
I guess technically your report card would be next year.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you,
Laura
Laura.
and her crew.
Big shoes.
And
to
Gina,
fill,
thank you
what
for
can say?
reminding us that. That is true.
That's good news.
Well, thank you, Mariah.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for the comments on the public records area.
Yep.
We take great pride in our our efforts to be timely and correct in that area, because it sometimes is a conflicted, kind of a contentious area where someone might think that there's a record there that actually may or may not exist. And so we, certainly try to do our very best to provide the records in a timely way, that if we have to redact or deny a request, that we give the clear legal reason why we have to do that. And then if it's available, we'll work around to help them obtain what they're looking for. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Good work, Tim. Thank you.
Okay, did we have any other questions about the audit report for 19, or any other questions or comments for Mariah?
No, I'm good.
Nope.
Okay, Mariah, thanks again for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to go on with the next, with the
Yes.
alternative tax
Number
budget?
2.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the alternative tax budget is an annual requirement by Ohio Revised Code. It used to be the tax budget. They made some changes to the law in 2002. And so now counties are authorized to allow alternative tax budgets, which you've probably been used to seeing in the past. They're just more for discussion. It kicks off the budget season, and it starts by listing I don't know, Ben, if you want to put the tax budget up on the screen, or if you want me just to go through it. I'm looking at Schedule 1, and it just lists each of the unvoted, which is inside millage. The city of North Canton has 2.4 mills inside millage. And I know there's overlapping districts here, but for the main. And then there are some voted levies as well. And so it goes through each one. The county auditor says, for half a mil of the fire, I'm just going to use an example, half a mil of the continuing fire levy will be about $198,000. You have to show me in your fire fund that you have need for that levy to continue. That's the purpose of the tax budget. To let the county auditor know to, yes, please collect every dollar that's due to North Canton that was voted by North Canton residents. So yeah, maybe can you go 2 more pages? Yep, right there are, I'm sorry, go back one. There we go. So there's a list of all the current levies. The top one, again, is the unvoted millage, the 2.4 mills. And these are estimates. On the right-hand side, these are estimates based on, maybe a 3% increase or something with property values. And I know this year is going to be a little different than every other year, but this is what we're requesting. And then every page after that is just a sort of a summary of revenues and expenses for every single fund that the city has. So we'll submit this to the county auditor. If you want to go just to the very next page, Ben, and on the bottom of that page in orange, do you see the 9.72%? I don't know if you can see that, but that's kind of what the auditor is looking at to make sure that we don't have an excess of 25% carryover that says we really don't need all that money we're asking for. I don't know that we'd ever show that. Of course, we need every dollar we can get, or we wouldn't be passing the levies in the first place. So we have a page like that for each levy: the general fund, the fire fund levy, the EMS levy, the street levy, and then all the other funds are listed at the bottom so that we have a complete tax budget. So we'll submit this to the county auditor. And then the process, if you've seen in the past, they'll certify amounts and rates and send that back to each municipality. And then I'll bring back to council to accept the amounts and rates as certified by the County Budget Commission. Do you have any questions about that?
No, thank you.
No, but thanks for the great explanation.
Sure.
That helps. I like seeing all the colors. Helps.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay, so third, Ben, will you move that? Okay. Is Tim going to read this?
No, we're just talking
Kind of meeting.
committee.
I'm sorry. That's right. Sorry about that.
That's a lot to
Hey,
read.
hey, just before
That
we
is a
go,
lot to read. I was like, this is going to be a lot. That's exactly what I thought.
Stephanie,
Yep.
this is Daryl. Do we need to do any kind of resolution or anything approving that alternative tax budget? Do we need to do
I don't-
anything?
It's not required. It's not
Okay.
required. It should go
All right.
through Finance Committee, which I know we have Committee of the Whole. So I definitely wanted to make council aware that we are submitting it. The deadline to submit to the county is August 20th.
All right, perfect.
So
Okay.
Daryl, are you thinking that next week we just make it a resolution?
No, we don't need to. She just said
Okay.
that she's got a deadline anyway. So
Okay. Yeah,
at the discussion, the record will
15.
reflect there were no objections.
20 by Friday. Yeah, unless we needed a special meeting,
Yeah.
but that's fine. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, Tina, do you want to talk about this one as well? I think if we talked about this, did we talk about this prior to kind of leaving on break as well and amending some of the sentences? Or am I
this
thinking
one
of
a
something
renewal?
else?
This one's a renewal, isn't it?
Gina, would you like me to weigh in?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Pat, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Pat, what was the other one that we talked about prior that dealt with the IT systems? And then we were talking about, Daryl had brought up whether it was an actual program or more of a contract.
That was the OpenGov
Okay.
program software that we were applying for CARES Act money.
Through the CARES Act. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So this is the renewal that we go through, and this is the new systems
This is
that we go through every year.
the personal services agreement, professional services agreement for our IT services. And this is through AtNet, and the contract renews or expires, however you look at it. August 31st, we were able to negotiate a renewal with no change in price, same cost as before. And we were able to negotiate that for a 2-year period. So the previous contract we had was for 1 year. We're able to keep our premium structure, payment structure the same and extend that out for 24 more months. So I consider that a big plus for the city to be able to have some stability in pricing in that area. And we do add additional responsibilities to that as time goes on, just basically what's happening out there as far as security, what's the latest threats, and making sure that our IT company is responsive to that and making sure that the city is safe. And that has been working very well. I know we get a lot of employees and we do a lot of onboarding with new employees, talking about email and phony emails that go around. That continues to happen. There are all sorts of nefarious characters out there that want to get in, and so far we have been successful in keeping them out. So we would recommend a continuation of this agreement and to put it on next week's agenda with the emergency clause.
Okay. Great. Any other discussion?
Nope.
No.
Oh, I'm good.
All righty. Okay, and then the final was the appropriation of funds for 2 different expenses, and I believe it was close to 97,000. I have it in my pictures. So it was for fire suppression for the 2850, and then for transportation, paving, curb, and gutter for 95,000. Gina, any other comments on that?
No, yeah, the fire department received a grant from Ohio Department of Public Safety for ballistic vests for the fire department. So that's what the 2854, it is a reimbursable grant. So we'll need to appropriate the money, spend it, and then we'll apply for the reimbursement. And then the 95,000, that was the additional MRF money, correct? That Rob made us
And that was,
aware of. Mhm.
and Gina, that was for the East Maple and Portage Street projects.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Any questions, concerns?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Steph, thank you very much.
right.
Next up, Street and Alley, Chairman Fonte.
Yes, this is phase 4 of the sanctuary. They're going to be putting street gutters and utilities in. This is a bond that McKinley Development has to provide to make sure they perform to the standard of the city. I'm not sure how many lots it'll be. If Rob's on the call, he could chat on that. But I move we get on the agenda ASAP and let's move on with some improvements.
Yep, this is Rob. This simply just takes the performance bond that they had for the roads that they finished this spring in phase 4 and converts it to a maintenance bond. Basically 10% of that amount. If anything goes wrong on those roads within the next year, I think it's July 23rd in the ordinance, they'll have to fix it. And if they don't, we have a $61,000 bond available.
Rob, how many lots does that put out there in phase 4?
Oh, boy. I want to say 25 to 30, 28, but don't hold me to that. It's been a while since I've looked at the exact number of lots in that phase.
That's great. We need it.
Hey, Rob, this is Daryl.
Yes.
Let me just shift the conversation just a little bit. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of this, but never mind. We're not going to. Just drop it. Never mind.
I got something. I got something for you, Rob. When we just recently redid all those roads out there, right? I mean, those were awful. On the first couple phases.
The first 3
Do
phases.
we have Do we have someone out there inspecting how they're pouring those things on the right? Because those things went bad pretty quick, in my opinion, for a residential lot that was cracked like a spider webs throughout. It had to be something.
I can't for the first 3 phases when they were built, but phase 4 was built under my watch, and we had a guy out there. So
good. That's what I kind of wanted to see how we do that, because we can't be having that same thing that happened right there. I mean, we've done a great job. It looks terrific out there, but it just seems very short period of time for a whole neighborhood to get that done. And it was terrible. It was terrible. It was needed. But
Mark, this is Daryl. You actually touched upon the question that I had now, and I'll pose it. We're putting up a performance bond, but is there something wrong when we don't have a developer, or we allow a developer to lay a phase in, then he runs all of his construction equipment over it, busts it up, and we've got to go back and repave it again.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes to Mark's point. I think part of the problem out there was twofold. One was that we didn't inspect it, so we really don't know, or we probably do, and the second is that, we're making an unnecessary expenditure for damages that were caused by the developer himself when he put it in. He could have opened up a construction access. I see that a lot in other communities. They don't take the construction material, equipment and trucks and cement trucks in over the streets. Maybe it's something we ought to think about. I don't know. I don't think we're going to do a whole lot of it, but just a thought.
By looking at that, and there's no way, Rob, I was saying that it was on your watch in any way, but that whole thing was bad. So that tells me the pouring of it or the laying of it was either at a bad time in the winter, or it wasn't done correctly, because it was all bad. So I'll leave it at that. And I guess my point. And as long as we're inspecting it correctly as it's being poured and it's done in the right time, with the right temperature and everything, so we feel it is going to last to our specifications. So I'll leave it at that then.
Okay, then. Let's move to get it on the agenda.
All right. And there's no emergency on that, or?
None of that. None that's needed.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right, Dom, thank you. Up next, ordinance, rules, and claims. Chairman Stroya, floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm going to motion to postpone number 3, A through G. I'd like to have it next week, but we'd have to vote to have special meeting for that. So maybe at the end after our executive session, we could discuss that. Or if we can discuss it now, I don't know if I'm on a procedure to do that.
No, you're fine.
Well,
Let's discuss it now. So you want to table 3A through G until next week and have a special committee?
Yes, please.
Is anyone else opposed to that?
No, Jeff, would you start that earlier or would that start at 7?
Well, I mean, we could start earlier if you wanted. I mean, it looks like it's going to be, actually, it might not be a bad idea. Maybe start at 6 o'clock.
Only because
An
it's
extra
probably
hour to talk about it. Looks like,
Yeah, my point is,
yeah.
that's fine. If chairman wants to do that, I don't have a problem. I just think there's going to be a lot of discussion. We haven't met for a while, and I'd rather start earlier than go later. If that makes sense.
That's a good
Is
idea.
there anything on here that's at a quick need? Can we just wait for 2 weeks? Is there anything in here that is?
No, that's an option too, Mark. I don't have a problem with that. So.
Matt, what do you? I mean, it's your committee, Matt.
I would, if we could. Go ahead, Daryl.
Here's what I say. You got two things. Number one is you need to a motion and a second to table these items for tonight. But looking at next week, we're probably going to have a light voting agenda. So we could have a regular council meeting at 7 o'clock and be disposed with those items in pretty quick order. And that's presuming that we don't have a long public speaks. And then what it would do would give us next Monday night as a committee of the whole an opportunity to discuss this for a reasonable amount of time. And then frankly, bring it back again the following Monday for any cleanup that we might have.
Okay.
And then you could go right into legislation.
I like that idea, Daryl.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right.
So
Matt, you're good with that as a chairman?
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay. All right. Then let's just do that.
all right, let me have a motion and a
Go ahead.
second to table items 3A through G.
Revolt moves.
Hold
Do I have a
second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. And while we're at it, how about may I have a motion and a second to schedule a special committee meeting to follow the regular council meeting next Monday?
Troy moves.
Okay.
Full second.
Second.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Do I have a
Yeah,
motion and a
Matt
second?
made
Matt
the move
moved.
and Doug second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. And
Mr. President, if I may.
yes, sir.
This being Member Stroya's committee, perhaps he and I could speak for a couple minutes tomorrow to set up if he and I could get together to go through some of these. We didn't get the opportunity to perhaps go in a little more depth of potential issues, just so that I do the due diligence in looking at the kind of what ifs for current and future concerns that might be an issue with some of these.
Okay, no worries. I'll let you work that out with the committee chair.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, and that concludes the discussion. All we have left is executive session. So entertain a motion and a second to enter into executive session. And this is for the purpose of discussing employment of a public employee.
So moved, Warren.
This will be council,
Oh, sorry.
council and mayor only.
So moved,
All right,
Warren.
so we have a motion.
Yeah, full second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
No, you need
Aye.
a roll. Excuse me, you need a
wait,
roll.
Roll call on executive session.
I need a roll call on this. Sorry about that. Ben, please call the roll.
Member Fonte,
Yes.
Member Foltz,
Yes.
Member Stroya,
Yes.
Member Soretta,
Yes.
Member Warren,
Yes.
Member Revolt,
Yes.
and Member Peters.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay. We are in executive session. Ben, if you want to put us into a breakout.
Yes, I will. And per usual, for anyone watching the live stream, it is going to pause on the waiting screen while council is in executive session.
Uh,
Moved.
Second my
Sec-
poll.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You'll have to redo that.
Oh. Okay, sorry about
Revolt
that.
Revolt moves to adjourn the executive session.
Fold seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Let the record reflect that no action was taken. And at this time, council meeting calendar next week, regular council meeting will be followed by a special committee of the whole. August 31st will be committee of the whole if needed. And then September 7th, a committee of the whole if needed. All right, that concludes the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Corey
moved.
moves.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.